Well, hello there, welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet video. Scarlet, the Indigo Disk, I guess we're continuing it. And, it has been a very long time since I recorded one of these. I'm recording this on, like, June 14th, 2024. And honestly, I don't even remember the last time I made one of these videos. I was probably... Actually, we can check. The last time I recorded one of these videos was probably when I captured... Or I did record a few like raiding videos where I did raids. But in terms of like capturing, I think it was it like the Palworlds video where I was talking about Palworlds? Oh my gosh, it was almost 5 months ago. Yeah, so it's been a while since I recorded these, and if you recall, I was trying to capture all the legendaries, at least Snack Wars legendaries. So we're gonna be continuing doing that. And yeah, the reason why I can record is, or the reason why I haven't been recording is because just been super busy. It's just like I actually can't find time to record anymore. Like it's kind of okay when it comes to this channel in particular, because this channel there isn't that many, or I have a lot of videos backlogged, and so not being able to make videos for like even a whole year is pretty fine on this particular channel. But on my other channels it's been really bad. On my main channel, I should say, it's been pretty bad. I just haven't been able to, like, not the time to record, or I should say not enough time to record and not enough opportunities to record, because if I want to record these videos in particular, I need to be talking like voice audio, and I sometimes I can record videos, but I can't talk in the videos, and like making one of these videos where I'm not talking is not really fun. I forgot to paralyze this guy. But indeed, today I have a rare... I call these days media days. Media day is kind of a term that I learned because there's a lot of Valorant, competitive Valorant. I watch a lot of competitive Valorant. And usually when these teams, these teams need to play in matches, right? But these teams also, because it's like because they're doing show, it's like it's like competitive Valorant is almost like a show almost. And so what they do is they record these teams and they make like fun content videos, and even the teams orgs, so like certain orgs, they make videos about their teams. And again, it's all about just making content, because the whole thing about making content is if you can make content about your game, then you can sell sponsors, you can sell ads and stuff like that, and the teams and team members can generate money that way, right? So they have to record content. They have media days, like full days dedicated to just recording content. And so days where I can like record for a good amount of time and record that I can talk, like audio recording, is really good. And media day essentially. And so it's nice to have a media day today. I haven't had a media day in so long, so it's nice to have a little bit of a media day today. And another reason why I want to record this video in particular, again, I haven't touched Pokemon Scarlet a lot. I've been going in and doing event raids and, password event Pokemons and stuff like that. So I've been collecting stuff, but I haven't made one of these videos. But I want to make this video is because I don't really have a space to talk about this stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about something in this video. And particularly, I want to talk about Pokemon cards TCG, because I've been getting into the Pokemon TCG recently, and I've been buying a lot of cards, wasting a lot of money. I've been ordering a lot of stuff from like TCG Player, and buying cards like outside, and buying even like sleeves, play mats, because I'm building decks, right? It's like I'm at the point in my life where like I can do this, right? Let's just say I'm making a little bit of money and I'm spending it all on Pokemon cards essentially. And so yeah, I've been just collecting cards, and I've always been interested in like playing. I used to play a little bit at locals back in the day, and when I mean back in the day, I mean like Phantom Forces, Roaring Skies format. So basically like the start of Mega Evolution, and like Shaman EX was really strong back then. And there was still a lot of black and white cards, but there was also the introduction of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire cards. And so we got a lot of those. Gen 6 Fairy just came out, right? And so I was playing in that format. And so and back then I didn't play a competitive deck at all. Actually, there was the top cut. It was the top cut, and this is a little background, by the way. The top cut posted like a deck profile. They don't make videos anymore, but they posted a deck profile of like a Chandelure deck, and the Chandelure was from Legendary Treasures. And so I kind of stuck with the idea, and I wanted to make a Chandelure deck using Chandelure EX from Legendary Treasures. And Legendary Treasures was like the last black and white set, by the way. So we're moving into like the Gen 6 sets. And I was playing like a Chandelure Gengar EX from Phantom Forces. So that was the deck I was playing. It was Chandelure EX, Gengar EX. And it involved a lot of switching and damage counter movement. I used Dusknoir, which Dusknoir's ability makes it so that you can move damage counters all around. And I was using a lot of escape rope switches, a lot of cards that reduce my retreat cost, like Floatstone, and I was using, there was a certain energy that reduces your retreat cost by 2, and it was a pretty fun deck, but it wasn't anything competitive. So nowadays I'm like, you know what? I've never been able to play tier 1 in either Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. I've already talked a little bit about Yu-Gi-Oh in a video. I don't know if by the time you're watching this video if I publicized that video, but I never got to play tier 1 in Pokemon. Back then, tier 1 was like Groudon EX. It was like Rayquaza EX, Mega Rayquaza EX. And those were like the tier 1 decks. And, you know, I never got to play those decks. And I never got to play tier 1 in general. I was using like some kind of fun rogue deck. I mean, I think Mega Gengar was good back then. But yeah, I was just using some random decks. And so I never got to play tier 1. And so I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to like get into playing Pokemon cards and maybe even make a tier 1 deck. But before I do that, I wanted to just in general just make some fun decks. And I bought a lot of Pokemon products, right guys? Like the newest set that came out at the time of recording this is called Twilight Masquerade, and it focuses on Ogerpon, which is relevant to this series actually, because I really enjoyed the Teal Mask, and you saw me play through that, and you know how much I like Perrin if you watch these videos. And the Twilight Masquerade had like a few Perrin full arts, a normal full art, and like an alternate art full art. And the alternate art full art of Perrin looks amazing, but that card is like at this point in time like $80. So maybe I'll wait for it to go down to like 50, and I'll probably cop a Pokemon playset, I should say. But anyways, what was I getting at? Yeah, I may have bought a few Twilight Masquerades because the reason why I wanted to buy that set was because I like Ogerpon, I like Perrin, but also I just wanted to buy a lot of products so I can have the newest cards. Because the thing about Pokemon that I kind of hate about Pokemon is that the cards rotate out. And so there's like standard, and if you want to play standard, you have to use like recent cards, like the last few years. You can't play old cards, unless the old cards have been reprinted. For example, like energy searches get reprinted, so you can play those cards. But that's the thing I don't like about Pokemon, is like my deck back then, I can't use it now because it's not standard. And so with Pokemon cards, you always have to make new decks. When it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like the complete opposite. Yu-Gi-Oh, I can play the deck that I played 10 years ago. It would suck, but I can still play it. But Pokemon is not the same way. And so I just wanted to buy a lot of the new set so that I can have a bunch of cards that I can use for a long time. Like if I buy like a lot of Twilight Masquerade, I can make, you know, a lot of decks with those cards, and it will be relevant for the next few years. So it's really important, or I really wanted to buy the absolute newest set. And you know, I may have bought a few packs of Twilight Masquerade. You know, may have bought Elite Trainer box, may have bought a few packs. And when I mean a few packs, I mean maybe a booster box. And when I mean a booster box, I may have bought in more than one booster box, if you catch my drift. But anyways, in that set there was a card, Twilight Masquerade, there's a card called Greninja EX. And it's a super strong card. Like it's a stage 2 Pokemon, and there's like a move that it uses that costs 1 energy, and it does 170 damage for 1 energy, which is insane. And it also searches your deck for any card. And I'm like, wow, that card is crazy, because you know I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh player, and so being able to search for cards, I know how valuable it is to search for cards. It is an end of turn search, right? Because when you attack, you search, and the attack happens at the end of turn, and so I'm searching the card at the end of my turn. And so it's not as valuable as like being able to search any card at the beginning of your turn. But I saw that card and I wanted to play a Greninja deck. And so, you know, I didn't mention I want to build tier 1, but I at least want to build a fun deck first before I started to look into a tier 1 deck. And so I was building this Greninja deck, and it wasn't that good. It had, you know, I'm gonna put the deck list in my description, the exact deck list that I used, because I built a deck because I wanted it to bring it to locals. Because I recently learned that there are some locals around my area, similar to how I played locals back in the day. The locals I played back in the day was super casual, but the locals here were like a little bit more competitive. And admittedly, it's a little bit more competitive, and you know, people use better decks and stuff. And so I wanted to see what it was like to play a locals like nowadays. And so I built this deck. It was like a Greninja deck, Greninja EX. I used Ogerpon Ogerpon EX, Ogerpon, the water Ogerpon from Twilight Masquerade as well. And I was using Baxcalibur. Back in the day, I did have multiple decks, and there was a card called Blastoise back in the day. And Blastoise allowed you to attach energy, water energies from your hand to water Pokemon as much time as you like, which is really strong in my opinion, because it's basically energy ramping. You can only attach one energy per turn unless you have some type of energy ramping. And so Baxcalibur was basically the Blastoise of back in the day. Baxcalibur also allows you to attach a water energy to any Pokemon you like. And so that was kind of my game plan, is having Ogerpons, Greninjas, and attaching a bunch of energies with Baxcalibur. I even run a lot of double colorless energies, or I should say double turbo energies, because those is also like an energy ramp card, right? So that was kind of my game plan. It wasn't a good deck, alright? There's some strong supporter cards like Irida, able to search for a water Pokemon, and an item card. That item card could be a rare candy, it could be, you know, a Nest Ball or Ultra Ball. And, you know, the water Pokemon can be any of your water Pokemon. That being said, the Greninja isn't water because it's Terra fighting, which is a bit weird. So anti-synergy with Irida and Candace, which I also use in deck. But regardless, that's the deck I bought to locals. And yeah, it's the thing about locals is I didn't know how locals worked, and so I kind of had an idea talking with like the shop, the people who were working at the shop. And so going into locals, it was like kind of a late, the locals, the tournament kind of happened later, and it was a more of a casual tournament. It's like a $5 entry, and $5 entry you get a pack, and they gave Twilight Masquerade packs, which is of the new set, which is fine, you know, more chances of pulling a alternate art pairing, which is probably not going to happen, but you know, still a chance. And so it's $5 for a pack, which, if you don't know, $5 for a Pokemon pack nowadays is the kind of the stock price. Before it was $4, but nowadays Pokemon packs are increased to $5 because they always guarantee a holo, and I think they have like an extra card in them. Like they always have an energy, they always have a code card. But yeah, they're a little bit more expensive nowadays. And so $5 for a pack for entry, that's kind of normal. Like I'm not really spending extra money for a pack. But then it's like a tournament style where, like, you know, you play some matches, and if you win, the next round you play against another person who wins, or if you lost, you play against another person who loses. You know, and depending on the size of the tournament, sometimes a winner will play a loser, right? And then sometimes if it's an odd number of players, then there will be a bye. So one person will get an instant win, right? That's just how, you know, tournaments work, locals work like that. So I think the locals that night had 10 people. So this was recent, not too recent, like not like yesterday, but it was like a week ago. Actually, yeah, it was literally a week ago. And so it was like 10 people, and I was going in there with my Greninja deck. And also, this Greninja deck was like not even complete. There was like some cards missing, but like whatever. I just put whatever I could in it. And I was also using, I didn't have Pokemon sleeves because, again, I haven't played Pokemon in a while, and so I just didn't have any Pokemon sleeves. I have a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh sleeves, but I don't have new Pokemon sleeves. And so I had to use some Roaring Sky Elite Trainer Box sleeves. So the Roaring Sky Elite Trainer, like I mentioned, I played during Roaring Sky format, and so I used Roaring Sky Elite Trainer Box sleeves, and they're like the Mega Rayquaza sleeve, glossy front, glossy back. And the thing about these sleeves is that they were second-hand sleeves. These sleeves actually had 2 lives. The first life was like, again, during Roaring Skies format. I actually bought them from some kid who was using them in his deck, and he didn't want them anymore. And so I bought like the pack of sleeve for like $5 or something, but he had already used them. And then these sleeves also had a second life because I played Magic for a day. Yeah, I played Magic for a day. That's a long story, or not really, because it's a 1-day Magic, so it's technically a short story, but you know what I mean, right? So I sleeved the Magic deck with those sleeves, and so now I sleeve my Greninja deck with those sleeves, and so I was coming in with like these crappy sleeves, and I was using like a Cross Souls playmat, Cross Souls Sneak Peek playmat. Cross Souls is a Yu-Gi-Oh card release, and I was using a playmat. I was using a Yu-Gi-Oh playmat. I have a few Pokemon ones, but I wanted to use a Yu-Gi-Oh one. So yeah, my peripherals were kind of garbage. I was using these sleeves where the shuffling with those sleeves were terrible. I piled shuffled like a few times just because my recorder sleeves were just so awful. And so yeah, it wasn't the greatest. And so, you know, I was sitting there, and you know, the tournament, there was like a few adults and a few kids, because usually Pokemon TCG, there's a lot of kids. And so this tournament, I mean, I am not a kid, so I count as an adult. And maybe half the players were adults, half of them were like kids. And even when I say kids, I mean like under the age of, or 16 or under. Like when I mean kid, I don't mean like a 5-year-old kid. I mean like a 10-year-old or like a 12, 13, you know. A kid who's like 15 or 16-year old, that kid knows how to play Pokemon, right? Like, don't count like 16-year-old Pokemon players out, because they know how to play. And so again, half of us were adults, half of us were like under the age of 16. But you know, and then my first match was against some adult guy. And again, this was my first time playing Pokemon in a while. Again, I did test out this Greninja deck in Pokemon. Is it called Pokemon Live or Pokemon Online? It's called Pokemon Live, because Pokemon Online shut down service, and they released a new Pokemon online game called Pokemon Live. And so I did test this Greninja deck on Pokemon Live, but there's still a few things that I don't know. Like, I forgot that, I'll explain later, but like I still don't know, like, I still forget that I can't evolve my Pokemon the first turn I have them on board. And I still forget that the player who goes first can't use a support card. So like there's a few things I forgot. And also like I'm so Yu-Gi-Oh pilled that my first game, I went first my first game, and I literally didn't even draw a card. That's how Yu-Gi-Oh pilled I am. I remembered after that night that I'm like, wait, I totally forgot to draw a card during my first turn of the whole tournament. So I was playing my Greninja deck, and then the guy I was playing was like an adult guy, and he was playing a the Festival Grounds deck. The deck again is a Twilight Masquerade thing, where like it's like a Festival Ground deck. And again, I kind of know how the deck works. Basically, you don't use any EXs, you just use a bunch of small Pokemon. But these small Pokemons can like search for any card in your deck, similar to Greninja's first move. And also, you can stack a lot of damage, because these Pokemon can attack twice, and you can do big damage with the Festival Ground deck. And so I was playing against that deck, and I knew how the deck worked, but also like it was my first game of like an actual game against an actual person in like years. Like I'm talking literal years. I haven't done this in years. And so I wasn't the most calm. I was kind of shaking my hands, and again I was shuffling my Rayquaza sleeves, which were awful. They felt awful that night. And so yeah, we were playing, and I was setting up like my Ogerpons or Greninja or something, and my opponent, it was like 2 turns in, and like they bricked apparently, and like they couldn't play anything. And I was like attaching energies. I don't even remember if I even attacked my opponent yet. I may have used Sob. Sob is Ogerpon's move that prevents your opponent from using a support card the following turn if I go second. I don't exactly remember what I did, but I didn't really do much. I don't even think I got a prize card, and my opponent literally just scooped. Like the guy just didn't even want to play. Like I'm like, that's so lame. I'm not gonna lie, that's so lame. Like I know he bricked, but like you can at least try to amuse me, bro. Like this is my first time playing, and like the first game my opponent just bricked and just decided to quit. Like he just didn't want to play anymore, and I'm like, Okay, like I really wanted to play. Like even like I didn't really care if I won or lose. I just wanted to play to see like how his deck functioned. I mean I kind of knew how it functioned, but I just wanted to see him play his deck. But he just didn't want to play. It just looked like he didn't want to play. And I wasn't even doing anything annoying yet. You know, I was just setting up some Ogerpons and some Greninjas, and the dude just didn't want to play. So he scooped the game after like a few turns. And like I don't even remember picking up a prize. I may have picked up one prize card. Like I may have Greninja'd him once or something. But it was yeah, it was a pretty lame first game. He didn't do like any damage on me, alright? And so that game ends, and I'm like, okay, we were like the first game to finish because my opponent just scooped it up. And that was pretty lame, but again, I'm not going to force him to play because that's kind of cringe, forcing someone to play, even though I really wanted to play. So I won my first game, hooray, whatever. And so I'm looking around to see what other people are playing, and I see some people playing Dragapult. Funny enough, again, Dragapult is also a card that came out in Twilight Masquerade. Really strong card. I see people playing Dragapult. Then I see a bunch of other decks that I'm not really paying too much attention to. But like, I'm just watching the games that take long are the Dragapult games. Dragapult is apparently the slow deck, or maybe the people who were piling Dragapult were just piling it as slow. Because my deck, I'm piling it super fast, because there isn't much to do. But Dragapult, maybe it's like a harder deck to play, and so they have to like think about their moves. I mean, it is kind of hard, because you have to think about where you want to put your 6 damage counters. Well, regardless, so I won my first game, and so my second game, I'm playing up against a person who's also won their first game. And I play against this guy, and this guy is, again, this guy is like an under 16 player, so like a younger player. And he was, and this guy's, I was playing, and you know, I talked with him a little bit before the game started. Like I was talking to him while the other games were going on, because his game also took a long time. And he was playing like this Raging Bolt deck. He was playing Raging Bolt, and Raging Bolt right now is like kind of expensive, because Raging Bolt got buffed with the introduction of Twilight Masquerade. Twilight Masquerade released Grass Ogerpon EX, and Grass Ogerpon EX is super strong because what it does is it can attach an energy to itself and draw a card. And the reason why that card is good is because Raging Bolt relies on a lot of energies. Raging Bolt wants a lot of energies on the field so that it can do a lot more damage. And Ogerpon, Grass Ogerpon EX energy ramps, and so it can provide extra energies for Raging Bolt to do more damage. And so that's kind of like the theory behind that deck. It looks like, and so I'm like, when I knew I was playing against that guy, I'm like, I have no chance, because this guy has a pretty strong deck that has a really good game plan behind it. And also, this guy's deck was like highest rarity. A lot of the stuff was highest rarity. All like the supporters and trainers were like full arts or like golden, and his energies were golden. I mean, honestly, not too bling, because if he was like super bling, then his energies wouldn't be golden. They would be like the Call of Legends reverse holo energies, which I have a few of. So you know, I'm kind of balling, but I'm not using them. But he was balling, and his Raging Bolts were like the alternate. His Raging Bolt EX were like the alternate art ones, so like the $80 ones. So you know, pretty expensive deck. And the thing about that deck is that it just one-shots everything. And that sucks. Okay, well, I was trying to capture this Virizion, and it died. Alright, I'm going to need to look if Snackworth Legendaries respawn. I'm assuming they do, but Pokemon does the Snacks Worth Legendary respawn. Yes, once caught, they respawn after a time. Okay, so 1 day and night cycle. Okay. I killed Virizion. It just did not want to capture. I mean, what can I do if it doesn't want to go in a ball? Like, there's nothing I can do. Okay. Regardless, let's go on to the next enemy here. But yeah, as I was saying, this guy was playing the Raging Bolt deck, and it was really strong. Like, that guy, the funny enough, the game 1, he was playing against his brother. His brother was younger than him. So he was playing against his brother, and he absolutely pooped on his brother. And actually, it was a close game. But regardless, he pooped on his brother. And I was playing against him, and I'm like, I have no chance against this Raging Bolt deck. No chance. Like, the energy ramp on that deck was so insane. And so, you know, the whole time I was just saying it's all ogre. It's all ogre because I'm playing Ogerpon, and so I had to make the ogre jokes. And it was funny because he was playing Ogerpons too. And so yeah, he just knocked out my Ogerpon. I'm like, oh, it's all ogre. It's all ogre. And let's see, Articuno. Okay, I have Glade first. That's good. Glade might die to his Arrow Blast, but it should be good. So they were playing the Raging Bolt deck, and yeah, I got wrecked. Again, Raging Bolt, it like one-shots all my Pokemon. And because of how it works, it can one-shot all my Pokemon. And so his Raging Bolt just one-shot everything. Like, he didn't even put a single damage counter on any of my Pokemon because he just one-shot everything. Like, the Greninja has 310 HP. 310 HP. Alright, think about how much HP that has. 310 HP, and I just get one shot. Like, that's crazy. Back in the day, when I played during, like, Roaring Skies format, Pokemon would have, like, if a Pokemon had over 200 HP, that would be absurd. But nowadays, 300 HP is, like, normal, and, like, he one-shots my 300 HP Pokemon. So, like, what can I do there? So, the guy wrecked me, actually swept the floor with me, and I'm like, all good, you know, all good. He was pretty nice, though. Like, the thing is, like, he was a young kid, and, you know, we were playing the game, and I had, like, a Greninja, and my Greninja knocked out one of his Pokemon, and knocked out, like, his Squawkably EX or something, because I had, like, boss ordered it out or something. And so I knocked out one of his Pokemon, and the Greninja's move is I can search for a card with Greninja, right? Greninja's move allows me to search for a card. And so I asked the kid, I'm like, yo, so I knocked out one of your Pokemon, so do I get to search a card from my Greninja's attack first, or do I draw the prize cards first, right? I asked him because I'm not exactly sure what happens. And then he also didn't know the interaction, and he called over the judge. The judge is like the person who worked at the card shop. And the judge came over, and the judge was like, okay, yeah, so Greninja's attack effect will trigger first, because you want to trigger all the attack effects first. And then the Pokemon gets treated as knocked out, and then you go ahead and you draw your prize cards. And I'm like, cool, alright, thanks. And so it was nice that that guy, or the kid who I was playing against, like, he was unsure about, like, some card rulings, and he went ahead and called it judge over. And so, like, that was cool. Again, this is my first time playing Pokemon Locals in, like, years. Like, I'm literally, like, Roaring Skies format. Alright, I keep reiterating that because it was a long time ago. And so I lost miserably against him. And then the next person I played against, funny enough, was someone who went 2-0. So again, at this point, my score was 1-1 because I won the first game because my opponent scooped. I lost the second game because my opponent crushed me with Raging Bolt. But I played against a person who was 2-0. So a little bit unlucky because my opponent is a little bit better scored than I am. But, you know, that's fine. All good. I don't really care about losing. The thing about my Greninja deck is I ran some Crushing Hammers. And so Crushing Hammer is like you flip a coin. If heads, you discard one energy card from your opponent. And I just find it a really fun card. This card isn't really good against Raging Bolt because, again, Raging Bolt ramps energies. It's an energy ramp deck, and so it's not good against that particular deck. But when it comes to other decks, it might be good because my opponent doesn't have energy ramping. Being able to discard energy from their Pokemon could be really valuable. And so I was just having a lot of fun with Crushing Hammer. I was able to Crushing Hammer a few times against the guy who's playing Raging Bolt, which was really fun. And so the last game I played was against this lady. And I'm calling her a lady because she says that she is not young enough to be considered a, like, junior. And so I'm not sure how old she was, but she was older than 16. And honestly, I think she may have been my age. So, like, my age meaning that she is not young, not a kid. So I was playing against her, and again, she's 2-0, and she also went. And the guy who I played round 1, the adult guy who I played round 1, who was playing the Festival Ground deck, they went as, like, a pair. I'm not sure if they're a couple or if they're just friends, right? I'm not sure exactly what the relationship between those two were. But they came in the card shop together. So they came and they left together. So, you know, they're a party. And I was playing against her, and she was playing a Gimme Ghoul deck. And Gimme Ghoul is similar to Raging Bull, in which you can one-shot your opponent. I mean, the idea is to just one-shot all your opponent's Pokemon. This time you discard energies from your hand. And so for her, it's very important to search for energies or draw energies. But the same thing is still the same if you one-shot your Pokemon. Or you one-shot your opponent's Pokemon. And so the thing is about her deck is like she didn't run that many basic Pokemon. And so she had to mulligan like 6 times and she couldn't get a Pokemon. And then she mulliganed like a 7th time and she couldn't get a basic Pokemon. And so the judge had to come over and like, okay, so now we're just gonna reveal cards from the top of your deck until we find a basic Pokemon. And then I got to send 1 card in my opponent's hand into their deck. And I also got to draw like 6 cards. So it wasn't starting off good for my opponent. But the thing is about my opponent was that they absolutely crushed me as well. Their Gimme Ghoul one-shot me. So like it was like 4 or like 5 consecutive turns. I just got one shot. It was 4 consecutive turns. All my Pokemon just got one shot. And you know, my deck isn't really strong enough to deal. My deck doesn't deal big damage fast. It deals big damage, moderate speed, but it's not like big enough damage to one-shot my opponent's Pokemon. And so she just wrecked me, which is a little bit sad. Similar to the Raging Bolt guy. She didn't put any damage counters on my Pokemon. Did you know something? Did you know something? I played 3 games and not a single damage counter was put on my Pokemon. Because I either just got all my Pokemon one shot or my opponent scooped. So that was pretty lame. But regardless, yeah. So that game went by pretty, and she was pretty nice. She knew that I was a new player, in quotation marks. So like I tried playing Irida turn 1. No, I didn't try playing Irida turn 1. I tried evolving my Froakie turn 1 into like a Frogadier. And she's like, no, you can't evolve your first turn. And I'm like, oh, I thought you could. Because I was going second. So I was going second and I couldn't evolve my Froakie. Which makes sense. But I just forgot about the ruling. So she was like, just remind me like, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, oh, you're right. My bad. And she was explaining her plays, which I think is nice. Because usually you want to explain your plays. I find that oftentimes kids don't really explain what they do. They just put energy cards. They just put energy cards on their Pokemon and they search their deck for like random stuff. And they don't do a really good job explaining what to do. But she was really good at explaining like, okay, I'm gonna play this card, and this card lets me do this. And you know, I knew a lot of the stuff that she was doing. I think she thought that this was like my first time playing Pokemon. Like I've played Pokemon. I know a little bit. Again, I appreciate her explaining it to me, but also at the same time, like, you know. I kind of felt like she thought I was dumb, which, you know, fair enough, maybe I was, but like still. And I will admit though, there was something that really bothered me, and this really bothered me, and you know, I'll talk about it now. But like one of my Pokemon ruling, I knew how this ruling worked. So Ogerpon has a move that uses 30 energies, and it shuffles the energies back into the deck, and then it does like, so the move does 100 damage, and it does 120 damage if I shuffle 30 energies back into my deck. And I had a double turbo energy on Ogerpon. And so my Ogerpon usually does 80 damage if I have the double colorless energy. But if I shuffle the energies back into my deck, then it could do 100 damage, like the full damage it does. Because what a double turbo energy does is that it makes it so that your attack base damage does 20 less. And so that's why I do 80. But with Ogerpon, or with what's it called? With Ogerpon, it does 80, but if I don't have the energy, it does 100. But one of the things I know is that when I shuffle the energies back into my deck, it doesn't do 80, it does 100. It does the full amount of damage because the energy isn't counted as attached to the Pokemon. And why do I know this ruling? Is because it's something that I know for sure happened in Pokemon Live. It happens in Pokemon Live, and so I'm assuming it's like the correct ruling. That if I shuffle the double turbo energy back into my deck, that my damage is normal. That I can do the normal 100 damage on top of the 120 on the bench Pokemon. And so that's what I did that against her, and I'm like, so I have this double turbo energy attached to my Ogerpon, and so I know it says it does 20 less damage, but because I'm shuffling these energies back in my deck, I actually do the full 100 damage. And then she's like, no, that's not how it works. You're only gonna do 80 damage because of double turbo energy. And then like I mentioned, the guy who was playing Festival Ground that was with her, he also sided with her, and he said like, yeah, that's how it works. You don't do the normal damage, you do 80 damage. And I'm like, you know, I wanted to argue my point that, you know, the energies get shuffled back into the deck, and so I do the normal amount of damage, right? Because the energy isn't attached to my Pokemon when I guess the damage gets done. Again, it's the Pokemon TCG live ruling. So I was just gonna explain, but I couldn't even defend myself because, like, first off, it's 2 against 1, right? And also, they're like, they know how to play the game better than me because, again, in their eyes, like, I'm a new player, even though I know that I am a new player, but I know this ruling because in Pokemon TCG Live, that's how it worked. And yeah, they shut me down, and I couldn't really argue the point. And they didn't even call the judge. They didn't even call the judge over to see how the ruling was, and so like they were pretty adamant about their ruling on the situation, even though I know for sure that in Pokemon Live it's how I thought it was, how I do the extra 20 damage. And I mean, it was 20 damage, guys. I was gonna lose the game anyways. They didn't even give me my 20 extra damage. Like, are you kidding me? But anyways, that was like actually kind of bothered me there. Like, yeah, at least the kid who I played before was unsure about ruling and he called the judge. Like, I respect that. But these people, they thought I was wrong and they didn't even bother calling a judge, even though my ruling was right. So that bothered me. So anyways, yeah, at the end of the day, I ended 2-1. One game that I won was against someone who bricked, and then 2 other games I just lost miserably against. Oh, by the way, those 2 people who I lost against, they were the only 2 people undefeated in the tournament. It was only 30 games, and so I lost against top 1 and top 2. Unlucky, really. And yeah, did I really have fun playing? Not really, because I just got pooped on. I got pooped on. Again, no one put a single damage counter on any of my Pokemons. Like, I didn't bring dice because I forgot that, oh yeah, you should probably bring dice. But it honestly didn't even matter because they didn't do any damage on me anyways, because they just one-shot all my Pokemon or scooped it up. And then yeah, because I wasn't top 4, so it was a 10 people tournament. If you're top 4, you get extra packs, and if you're not top 4, then you don't get anything else. So I spent $5 just to get like 1 booster pack. I did pull a Luxray Full Art EX, which is, I suppose, nice. But yeah, only top 4 get prizes, and no one really pulled anything good, to be honest. But yeah, it's just kind of, that also kind of made me sad. Like, the prize support, I mean, it's all up to the shop owners and how they wanted to run their tournament. But I thought the prize support wasn't that good. I mean, I entered the tournament and all I got was 1 pack. And then top 4 got like a lot of packs. Like, you can spread the packs out to be more even. Even though it was supposed to be a fun tournament. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed about the price, but it's okay. So yeah, that was my locals experience. Funny enough, I'm actually going to locals today. And yeah, you know what? I'll talk more next video. I'll talk more about it next video. I probably should have talked to Snacksworth at the end of this video. You know what? I can still do it. I can still talk to Snacksworth, so I can have a few more legendaries lined up for next video. But indeed, that's kind of it. I have more to talk about when it comes to Pokemon cards. I have way more to talk about, but I just kind of want to talk about my locals experience, and also some background leading up to it. Yeah, I was focusing on having too much fun. So this week I have a different deck, which I'll reveal next time. And I have a different deck here, and it's you know, last time with the Greninja deck, I was focusing too much on winning. Right? I was trying to focus on having fun, but also trying to focus on winning. No more. I've made 2 new decks, and one of my decks is focused on winning, and one of my decks is focused on having fun. The deck that's having fun, I'm not gonna win with that deck. And the deck that I'm gonna win is a little fun, but it's not too fun. So anyways, I'll talk a little bit about that more, maybe in another video, hopefully. And yeah, so Spectre treat. You know, Spectre, if I really rare that one, not your run-of-the-mill Pokemon. Speaking of Spectre, I do recall this one particular encounter I had as a younger feller. I was hiking among Paldea's peaks For a bit of fun, mountain climbing being a bit of a hobby, I was taking my sweet time meandering up some mountain path dotted sparsely with trees. I came upon these old ruins in the path covered with vines. I thought to myself, now does that seem as good a place as any to take a rest? I no sooner drawn close to for a look than this black shadow of a Pokemon appeared. Spectre been sleeping inside. It popped its long face out and scared the spirit out of me. I love the snack you have there, so you might have just a shot at meeting it too. If you're on a Spectre, make sure to give it you give it my I don't know. Why do I so bad reading this? Okay, 9 good quests. So again, I'm capturing Pokemon that are Violet exclusives, Scarlet BBQ, multiplayer BBQ exclusives. Just so you know. Obtain this Kyurem treat. Kyurem. Is it a Kyurem treat? You know, Kyurem fought for rare that one, not your run-of-the-mill Pokemon. Speaking of Kyurem, I do recall this one particular encounter when I was a younger fella. See, I was climbing up that snowy mountain when a terrible storm blew in. I had no choice, really, but to hunker down in an underground cave underground. Don't even rightly know if I should call that place a cave. It was all soaring heights and wide passages, befuddling as any labyrinth too. I was having a grand time exploring its many nooks and crannies when this sheet of ice near me suddenly, okay. I rubbed my eyes, not believing what I was seeing. Once I realized it was no ice sheet, it was Kyurem right in front of me. Who would believe it, right? A love snack you have right there, so you might have a shot at being it too. If you're on old milk Kyurem, be sure to give it my best. Okay, I have an idea of where Kyurem might be. I think there is a snow kind of cave system. I want to say it's in here. I want to say it's like right where my cursor is. But also Gastier, I think, is going to be near here. Because mountain, a ruin with vines. I don't know if this counts as a ruin. This is actually a watchtower. But yeah, I'll find those off camera. Might just search Google because I can't be bothered searching at this point. But yeah, a little bit of a longer video just because of this recording setup. I can record longer videos. A little bit nicer to record a longer video here. And I think I'm gonna call it there. So, thank you for watching. You're beautiful the way you are. And next time, be capturing more snacks worth legendaries. Alright, see you guys then.